Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and you know what? Today is this week's kind of a big week in video games because we actually got a whole new gaming console or concept sort of unveiled. Now, this kind of harkens back to a video I made a little bit earlier, actually. And for those of you guys who've been focusing on gaming and stuff and following it, Google's released something called Stadia, or they're about to release something called Stadia, which is their cloud gaming service. Now, by the way, I made this video, but I kind of have some things that I have for and against this kind of a platform. Now, I've sort of got 2 points that I'm working on, but I'll get started with it. So for those of you who don't know what it is, basically, Google Stadia isn't so much a console as it is like a platform. So basically, if you want to play a game, you can stream it to like a Google Chrome browser, Chromecast, whatever you want to call it, and basically play games in your web browser, on your TV, or whatever. Anything that can house a stream, you can stream to and play a video game on. Now, this game in question you're viewing right now is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I actually got this game a little bit earlier, so I've been playing the fuck out of it. I'm not going to spoil anything, so to speak. I'm just going to show sort of the beginning, like, fucking half hour of the game. Anyways, though, this game is paramount to what I'm talking about right now. So for those of you who don't know what Google Stadia does, is basically you do stream it. So it's not locally running on your computer or devices. You're streaming something from Google's high-end server cloud to your home computer, and you're using one of their controllers, which basically syncs to that server cloud and sort of kerfuffles the latency around whatever. But anyways, so you're not locally running this game, it's running off of a cloud. Now, I made this video a while ago, and I was basically there at the forefront of cloud gaming. I was there since fucking OnLive, okay? Those days when we were just trying to cloud stream Crysis to computers that couldn't run it. Now, that product failed at that time, and now it's sort of easier. You know, you got every big tech company coming out making their streaming products. So you have Google, you have Microsoft with xCloud, and you have Nvidia with GeForce Now. So it's a big deal. It's a market. Clearly there's profit to be made. Otherwise, none of these tech companies would be chasing this if there wasn't any profit to be made. Now, the weird thing about it is I've got 2 complaints. One of them is latency. Now, for those of you who don't know, cloud gaming, all right, or actually let's go on the topic of latency. Latency is something that cannot be eliminated. It's basically like time, right? So essentially what we're talking about is the time it takes between Google's data servers to go to your house. No matter what, you are not going to match a local device that outputs a video feed from itself to your TV versus some product that you're getting from Google service to your home. Remember, this is a game stream to your computer, right? Or your TV. You are getting a video file from Google to yourself. Now, there is latency between you sending input to their server and their server capturing it, their server recording that stream through their process, sending it back to you. There is going to be a level of latency that you cannot eliminate. And ultimately, no matter what, it depends on the kind of game you're playing. If you're playing a game like Sekiro, it will absolutely kill you. This is a From Software game. This is probably one of the harder From Software games that I've played. And at the end of it, this is a game that requires that tactile precision input. You know, you play games like Racers, you play games like Siege, you know, the tactical, nitty-gritty shooters that literally go down to the fucking last hertz that you can input. And this will work for games, you know, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I actually got to play on Project Stream, and it'll work for that, you know, the 30 frame experience, because ultimately it's not a game that requires that level of tactile precision. This will work for that. But for every game under the sun, and for a lot of them, it really won't. And the weird thing about it is I sort of see Google getting away with talking about, oh, there's almost no latency to this situation, and it's kind of a little disingenuous. There may be the best latency solution that they will offer, but at the end of the day, it will never be close to how much latency you'll get over, let's just say, your base computer, right? Like your actual hardware. And not only that, the video will always end up being somewhat blotchy. There is never going to be a perfect one-to-one experience, and nor should you expect it. But the weird advertising we're getting is really weird from them. I'm sure Google will have the best platform out there, but it by no means will be ever close to the experience you're getting right now. The other really weird thing about this, and the thing that I don't really see a lot of people really bringing out, is the DRM. And for those of you who don't know, DRM is digital rights management. And I've noticed that in the last year and this year itself, we've gotten a lot of games that are online only. I do not like online only. I understand online only for games that are MMOs or something like, let's say, Rainbow Six Siege, even though that isn't entirely online only. You can play that over a local area network. When you're playing games that actually have the requirement to play with other people, I understand it. When you're looking at looter shooters, I'm a little iffy because there really doesn't need to happen. We've had Borderlands and Diablo 1 and 2 for a while. It doesn't need to have an online only requirement, but whatever. The thing about online only is it sort of limits us. It basically takes that $60 purchase you have and puts it on a timed deal. And that's sort of what cloud gaming is like. The scariest thing about this is noticing that how Epic Games is sort of money hatting, throwing a lot of cash around for exclusives. I can almost see Google doing the exact same thing with their platform, like having Stadia exclusives. And the problem is, let's assume that this game Sekiro was a Stadia exclusive or whatever. I know I'm changing the pronunciations all the time, but bear for a second, this game was a Stadia exclusive. There is no way to preserve this game if it was a cloud exclusive game. You understand? It's impossible to preserve a game that's online only right now because of its server check requirements. And that's one thing that I'm big on. As you all know, I love emulating. I love doing a lot of this stuff for the sole reason of preserving game data and games for the future. You know, if you look at a game like Super Metroid, if it hadn't been re-released through emulation, we would have lost the carts at some point, and we would have lost the hardware, and we would never be able to play a literal 10 out of 10 video game. So with the power of emulation, not only can we play that game again, but we can play it better than before. You understand? And same thing with PS2 titles, PS3 nowadays, Xbox 360, soon to be PS4, Xbox One at some point. There is a big need to preserve these titles. And with cloud gaming sort of being that forefront of the ultimate bullshit DRM, we may not be able to ever preserve the game anymore. And at the end of the day, if you're paying $60, whatever subscription fee, you're actually not getting anything in return. And for a lot of people, that may not mean a lot. You know, you look at a lot of people who are gaming really casually, or they don't care about the politics, they don't care about preservation, which I think they should. You know, if you enjoy movies, if you enjoy any form of media, books or whatever, there should always be a preserved format for the ages. And maybe some people don't care, and that's all the power to them. But with this being the ultimate form of DRM, and with Google's sort of lackadaisy response to a genuine latency concern, I don't really have a lot of hopes for the Stadia product. That doesn't mean that I'm totally against it. I was looking at this presentation, the entire thing, and I saw that they were literally showcasing an element of YouTube being part of Stadia. So if you were to watch a trailer of a video game, you could play a chunk of that video game almost immediately, which is absolutely fucking cool, by the way. I would be totally for that. I think what this would ultimately be for me is maybe a way to casually play a game as I was going to maybe head to bed, or a way to test games before I was going to buy them. It would be really cool to watch somebody's YouTube gaming stream and say, hey, maybe I want to try a bit of that game, and be able to try a limited version of the game, and then be able to buy that game off of Steam, Epic, whatever launcher you want to use. That's the only use case scenario I can see for this. I've used almost every single one of these cloud gaming solutions for a little bit, just to check it out. And while I have been impressed the fact that we've made it this far, I can never, in all good mentality, say that I could use it to replace my actual gaming needs. The whole idea of Google saying that we can play games at 4K, 60 frames a second over this means nothing, because the higher we go, the more latency we'll have to deal with. And ultimately, when you have a latency of around 160 milliseconds, you know, on Assassin's Creed Odyssey or any game, that shit adds up. That shit's annoying to play. Well, let me tell you, it really does make a difference if you have that much of latency to fuck around with. But in the end, I'm sure the product will get better. I'm sure when 5G connections become a thing, we'll get a better product. But for right now, I think the advancements are a little bit concerning. I don't really see I don't want this necessarily to be the future. I get the idea of things like Google Stadia and Project xCloud from Microsoft and GeForce now, and I understand that to a casual gamer it may not really mean a lot, but I think this channel really appeals to people who have been gaming for a while and can kind of understand and see through a lot of the corporate AAA bullshit that, you know, people can pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes, but I hope they don't pull over the wools on a lot of gamers' eyes, because at the end of the day, video games are video games. I don't care about the platform. I don't care. Ultimately, I hope that all the good games get preserved and taken care of, and things like cloud gaming solutions shouldn't be that replacement, nor that I think Stadia will ever be a replacement. You know, the biggest tech companies out there like Microsoft aren't looking to replace traditional gaming with cloud services. But the more and more I see Xbox consoles being released without disc support, the more and more I see the push for cloud gaming, the scarier it does become knowing that, hey, at some point, we'll actually not be owning the games that we pay full price for, and nor will we be playing them in the most optimal ways possible. There's a reason I'm a big PC gamer. Yeah, I own all the consoles and all that nonsense, but for me, PC gaming is like the ultimate fucking experience. It's the way for me to run the game locally on my device, run it in a way that I feel like I want to run it, and be able to preserve games. Fuck. Most of my PC gaming nowadays is literally running emulators and playing classic games again. And the reason I do that is because not only can I play those games, I can play them better. And I'm not at the mercy of companies to resell me games for like 20, 30 bucks a pop, if they even have the capacity to sell certain games. You know, without preserving games, we'd lose out on a lot of 10 out of 10s. And those 2 points that I made, you know, latency, the ability to play the game to its proper potential, and the ability to preserve the game are 2 things that scare me about this cloud-based future. But hey, there are some positive sides to it. I can't see that. I'm not, one or the other. That being said, though, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like me, dislike it. Let me know what you think about Stadia in the comment section below. I think this is one of those, being on YouTube and being in that Google ecosystem, I think a lot of people genuinely do somewhat give a shit about this. But yeah, this is me, Muda, and I am out.